Welcome to today's episode of Unapologetic Living. I am super thrilled to have Maria Alvarez on the show today, especially for a couple of reasons. One, she is a physical therapist by trade, but she is a spiritual and fascial practitioner. And for those of you that know and have come to me for fascial stretch therapy, I work with the fascia, and it is close to my heart. So I'm super excited to welcome Maria. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I found you on the internet. I've seen a lot of really amazing videos that you have shared
Mm-hmm.
on the fascia. And one of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? The fascia is connected to the limbic part of the brain, right?
Yeah.
Where memories, emotion, and trauma is stored.
Yeah. Yep.
And so a
Yep.
lot of times, right, our issues are inner tissues is what I've heard.
And it's kind of interesting because it's mostly the fascia where the trauma sits is in the fascia. Even though I think the messages might go to that limbic part of the brain, but it's really the release of the stored memories in the region of the fascia that got trauma, or what that region that picked up the trauma. That makes
So
sense.
yeah. And right. So like a football injury around the hip or knee.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. A breakup with somebody you truly were in love with, and your heart and your lungs get totally affected. You know, it's
Hmm.
emotionally, physically, and spiritually connected.
And and you see people one-on-one. This came to you because of just like years of working with individuals. Did you find that you always felt like, I don't know, in some regard, I think some, just sort of gravitate toward this because there's something deeper with the body than just like structural, you know what I mean?
Well, yes, exactly. I came to it because I was guided in my 20s, as a physical therapist. I had my own practice, but I was guided to study this. But I also was guided because I got my own healing with it, because I came in with a chronic disease in this lifetime. So through that, those two facets of my life from my 20s, it was the juncture that drove me into being able to heal the disease I came in with from birth, and to pretty much eradicate it to big level. And I used the fascia as that vehicle. And then through that, all that study, and then through other modalities of healing, how connected the fascia is to so much, because it is like the big superconscious mind, because it's the electromagnetic unit of the body, and it really stores all the physical, spiritual, and emotional trauma from this lifetime and other lifetimes. So
So,
it's like the Gold Coast, it's got all the nuggets.
okay, so you started studying the fascia in your 20s.
Yeah, and they're in the early 80s.
Okay, because I know it seems like, the fascia has become more of a buzzword, right? I know in
Been
the
around
last,
a long time. It's
oh,
just
well,
evolutionary. It's time.
right, it's
It's
time.
time on an evolutionary level.
So would you, being the electromagnetic, you said, what was the word you used?
The electromagnetic unit of the body. It's
Okay,
it's
so go ahead, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's connected to the superconscious mind, if you ask me. And I channeled that back in a paper back in the early 90s that I wrote in my Gestalt. I was studying Gestalt psychotherapy. So I was integrating the body mind. So I wrote that the fascia is completely connected to the superconscious mind. That was channeled into me. And I believe it because I've seen it experiential, you know.
So would you so almost like a sixth sense or intuition, something like that? Like, would you call when you say electromagnet? It almost seems like it could be connected, right, to the divine. You said super conscious
Oh,
mind.
it's completely connected to the divine. It's completely connected to the divine. You get that when you're learning the work. People get that right away. And I actually just posted a video therapist the other day that said that it's part of the Christ consciousness work.
Mm,
So yes,
mhm.
to the average person that doesn't make sense. So here's the basis of it. You hold all your trauma, every trauma in your fascia, and trauma creates repressed trauma, especially creates disease and dysfunction and false belief systems. So here's the deal. If you want to heal, you can release those traumas through facilitation of all energy medicine techniques, because every one of them facilitates that inner physician, and that's how we heal. But what's so nice about fascia is you could just lay on the table and have somebody facilitate a release if you choose to release that energy or not.
So
Because
there is a, go ahead.
I'm just saying, because we're just facilitators. We're not healing anybody. We heal ourselves through our own activation. Every
Right.
time
So
I
there
do a
is,
yoga,
there's some work on the client.
what do you mean? Oh yeah, the
Well,
client's fully
right.
responsible. Oh,
Yeah.
completely, completely.
So if
Yeah,
they
there's
aren't ready
no,
to let it go, they're not going to.
yeah, and there's no you fix me? No. It's up to each individual soul if they're ready to let go of that pattern. Um, if it, if it still serves them, I say we're either full of fear or we're full of love. We came in as love beings, and then all our conditioning through all the years, emotional, physical, and spiritual, we were just conditioned with fear on all different levels. So it's up to us if we want to release our fear so that our love self can reemerge.
And I was watching one of your videos. I don't remember which one, but something about bringing us back into that birth body. I mean,
That's
that's
exactly.
really where we want to go, right?
We
On
we want to
some fundamental
return.
level.
We want to turn to our. So we want to return to our love self. We want that part to reemerge, and that's returning to our birth body. And how do we return to our birth body? But we release the fear-based energies that got oppressed or depressed or screwed us up or got dumped on us by person, place, thing, and environment.
Now, when and okay, so as you mentioned, that right, as a facilitator, working with the body and the fascia and releasing some of this stored funk and gunk actually in this connective tissue. Uh, we don't necessarily have to relive. One would not, do they necessarily have to relive the experience? Or
I
does it
I
just naturally
I,
come out?
I think it. I think a lot of the pain energy, some of it comes out. There's a big awareness. I mean, a lot of times people go through dark nights of the soul if it's pretty big dramas.
Hmm.
You
So,
have to feel it to heal it. Let's just say that. So there is some kind of somatic release, either physically or emotionally that experiences when I say let go of their shit that has glued them up, junk,
yeah, so
you're junk in your trunk. That's what I call it. It's junk that's not serving you. It's just stuff that you've accumulated, and most of it's not yours.
yeah, so I'm thinking about, so when you say it's not ours because it's been impressioned upon us during this lifetime, but you also said potentially past lifetimes. And then I think about and I believe in reincarnation. And believe that we can be hanging on to stuff, generational things, right? I mean, if you think about like
Oh
me,
yeah,
I was an egg, not only in my mother, but my the eggs of
absolutely.
all the way back to my grandmother. I was essentially in my grandmother.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this generational healing is for those souls that took on the contract to come and do that. In a
Hmm.
sense, to do light work and heal. This all it's all incorporated together. It's all incorporated together. You just, to get to this level of awareness, you've had to shed so many layers of stuff that wasn't working and patterns that weren't working, and they were generational patterns, you know?
Yeah. So recently, a couple of things. So June is Scoliosis Awareness Month, and I did have a spinal fusion, and they did go. I was 12. They went into my on my left side underneath my rib cage. They broke out a couple of ribs, and they fused my lower vertebrae. And I know that, right? They're cutting through the fascia. Um, and I wonder, maybe not necessarily specific to scoliosis, but definitely any sort of surgical operation is trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a tough situation because you would have to, it's like I had severe asthma when I came in. I was born with it. If my parents got me to like Chinese medicine just back in the 70s, that would have, definitely healed those energetic patterns that it might not have gone into adult onset or adult. But of course, it had to go on to adult because that's why I'm here today, because it was the path I needed to take. Same with the scoliosis. We get the kids early and we can unwind them. And even if it's from past life stuff, it doesn't matter. They don't need to know what's going on. Their body just releases naturally. It's so innate. And so that I always say with the scoliosis, like, what is twisting you? What has twisted you up in this lifetime and past lives? Because it's a lot of times scoliosis comes in early. So it's like a chronic, it's like any chronic disease that comes with us, autoimmune disease. It's so linked to past lives. And people can read up on Dr. Brian Weiss, Many Masters, Many Lives.
I
And
love him.
yeah, you do some of his work and you maybe find he's not practicing anymore doing those big events, but you find somebody who's skilled in this past life stuff, and you'll know what I mean. But you read that book first and you understand. I read that book back in the 90s after I had a spontaneous past life, and it was like all the pieces would just made so much sense.
Yeah, yeah. I've done some work with a woman here locally who does past life regression. It was a 3.5 hour. And when you just talked about what's twisted me up, it's interesting. That kind of popped into my mind as what's twisted me up a little bit. So it's funny, just
Mhm,
like in our conversation, not that like in some regards I knew, but she said this has been like a reoccurring theme for you.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so and like this past weekend, I was working with a client and we came to a spot and she had an incredible emotional release. Where she just had a hip replacement and she just had this incredible memory, like vivid memory of being in that, room where they were operating on her, 7 weeks ago. She hadn't, recalled, hadn't, yeah, I mean, she was asleep, right? They had sedated her, but it was very, and she came with lots of tears. She all of a sudden recalled all this pain that she was intubated. She couldn't speak to tell them that things, I don't know, but it was just really emotional for her.
Yes. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
few, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's why even current traumas like that,
Mhm.
they come right up and out. And that's the thing is like, we have a new consciousness of parenting now. So soon as a young child like has an emotional situation that comes up and that parent addresses it right in the moment, that child is released of that trauma. Doesn't accumulate as in the past generationally. We shoved it down. I mean, goes all the way back to probably cavemen when we're just having survival things. A lot of our world is living in survival, and especially now with all that's erupting and going on as the as the universe rises up, right? So
Yeah.
everything's going to come up and out. That plagued even Mother Earth of toxins. And now
Mhm.
that's all getting revealed. It's all interrelated.
Yeah. So, okay. So a few episodes ago, I interviewed a woman and, and we were talking about, circumcision in particular and, what an industry that is, number one. And how she, and I think there's a documentary, and you may American Circumcision, possibly,
Mm.
about how young boys, if they might hit a stressful situation in their life, and all of a sudden this memory, it just like, and I think about all the men in the United States, maybe everywhere, that are circumcised. I mean, she views it as an attack on their spirituality, really.
Oh, absolutely. It's like being, I mean, what worse could happen than having that kind of trauma there, I mean, why did God make us with all these parts if we're going to take them off? Does that make sense?
No, I know logically, and I'm so upset because, like, I knew just enough at 22 or 23, and about circumcision, but I still had my son circumcised, and oh my God, I can still remember the room. I can remember it all, and I can't believe I did it because
Um,
it was like so against. I don't know. I just didn't know enough about it. I knew
of
enough, and then I
course.
was like, but that one is like, I'm like exactly. Why would God give us all these parts and then think we
Uh,
should take them off?
yeah, and again, that's a conditioned social thing that you had to go through because that was conditioned, and now we're in the moment of unconditioning ourselves. We're literally unconditioning ourselves from lifetimes and generations of, people, um what's the word, from the collective oppression, whatever it is.
Yeah. And so the goal, and so you think we're here now, right? To evolve the collective consciousness, to reach Christ consciousness. Because so many people now, right? As you said, more and more people are opening up to letting go of this. Some aren't ready to let go.
Yeah, I mean, the second coming of Christ, I really believe, and let me just use the word Christ in a very, it's divine love. So to me, in the way I teach it, and we are divinity, we are divine beings. So for us to return to our divinity, that's just such a natural route, is to, have the Christ within us wake up and come forward.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you that it really is this awareness of Christ within that is the return. That's my belief, right? The resurrection, like I've been reading some of Neville Goddard's work lately, right? And
Exactly.
as
Exactly.
we lose like old layers of consciousness and step into new levels of consciousness, right?
That's the whole thing of us delayering, and the fascia work is that's why there's such a buzz, because so many people are waking up to these traumas they're having or have had, and they're like, oh, how this is a great way to delayer. Sometimes all you gotta do is lay on the fucking table and you're good to go.
Yeah, right. So now, I know you teach courses, and most of your are most of your courses directed towards practitioners who also want to help
Everybody, everybody.
everybody.
God has me invite everybody. Every soul is invited because we all have hands, elbows, thumbs, palms, forearms, knees, all different ways of connecting with people to release. So yeah, I invite everybody. There's no to me, fascia is a free country.
Yeah, and I really appreciated it. Was, I don't know if it was the same video or different, the freedom of because sometimes I'll be working with a client and not even know why I'm doing it, a certain move. I've not done it with anybody else. That freedom to actually you learn all these techniques, right? Specific, like,
Yeah.
protocols. And but then I was like, it just felt good to hear that because, not that I'm crazy, but I do think there's that, right, that intuitive wisdom that sort of comes through, right? We're
Oh yeah.
conduits.
Yeah, I just posted a video I don't know, a week back, but saying that this is an art and it's your artwork that you're tapped into. And
Right.
it's divine guidance.
So the classes, do they now, when you are teaching the class, are there certain things that you find stored in certain areas of the body, or is that going to be very I know
Well,
one time I saw something with like shoulder blade and lots of maybe inner
it,
child or
yeah, yeah. I mean, I go through the whole body and the emotional causation of each illness or dysfunction and throughout. But, sometimes there's deeper parts of that. But to people, certain things make sense, like low back is not fear of not being financially supported in life. But for me, it's holding all the blocks of abundance there. So, yeah, we go through each body part and share that. But people, when somebody releases it, whatever core issue comes up, it's usually related to that generalization of what the head holds, the neck holds, the shoulders hold. Yeah.
I know you have some online courses and it looks like, I don't know if you, it sounds like you've got new ones you're still developing, but I know you've got one for the
Well,
neck and
we have an online bundle, 4-hour training that does pretty much most of the body. So that's kind of where we've stopped, and we sell that on our site very cheap, so people can learn. And yeah, so we made that really easy. And I've had many people come to the course saying they did that first and they were so ready for the course. And then other people just can't get to us, and that's okay for this type of work. People have tried it and they're using it in their practice, or they're just starting to use it on people, and it's had massive shifts because it's such an easy work. Hands-on is like really the oldest form of healing.
right, right. And so, okay, so you have the online and then I know you have a bunch of upcoming in person.
I'm being guided. Yeah, second year I'm starting to do this, going all over. Yeah, I'm just keep every 2 months I post more because um, I help my 100-year-old mom still live in her own way, individually. So that's something that I have to be cognizant of. So yeah, so I'm teaching. Yeah, just when a lot of times people invite me or that energy comes up of where to go. So God tells me where to go, when to go. It's all divinely guided.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now, are there things that you might tell the audience now as far as, I don't even just fascia? Is it something they need to nourish? Is there, I know
I,
that,
I just think that, you know, if you want to step in and shift your life from suffrage to return back to your joy, which is your birthright, you have to take accountability for your energies that you carry. And healing is a way to do it if you want to shift your life. Yes, change your thoughts, change your life. Is it that easy? Yeah, on some level, but not if you don't change the energy patterns. No. So healing is an internal job, an inside job. Happiness is an inside job, and contentment's an inside job. Inner peace is an inside job. So how do we get, unclogged? We have to declog ourselves, and we have to take responsibility to find those tools. And all Eastern medicine is what facilitates that inner physician. And you can go to Reiki, you can go to take yoga classes, you can do Pilates, you can do Tai Chi, you can do acupuncture, Chinese medicine, all of it, sound bowls. It's all going to delayer you. It's just up to you on how much you want to delayer. Some
mhm.
people love to live in their pain body. Some people love to live in their suffrage. That's their choice. But right now, the way the evolution of the planet and humanity, we're going to we're returning to the golden age. We're returning to the Garden of Eden. So it's uh, it's up. I mean, again, that's just, if that resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay.
Right.
I
Yeah.
I'm just sharing where I've been going. I've been guided since my early years. I've been shown and guided, and it all is making sense. It's all unfolding. So it's just, if you know, I don't think shit's going on around the world right now just because shit's going on. I think we're in a spiritual war of love versus fear, and I think love wins.
Yeah, I sure hope so. And I definitely think we are, I think of love and surrender. I've been reading different books on, like, just faith, right? You're not living in faith or surrender or love when we really are coming from a place of fear.
Right. So thy will be done opens
Yeah,
that door to the fifth dimension and your alignment and your divine plan. If you want that,
right.
you know,
You have to want it.
you have to want it. Even though those dark forces have always been in control, they can't control that. Of course, love wins, on that plane.
Right. Yeah, and I think of I was raised Methodist, and this has come up before, but the biblical scripture, the kingdom of heaven is found within.
Right. Right. I think that's what it comes down to. I
Hmm.
think if we want that oneness, we're moving into oneness from duality to oneness. It's what they say with the planetary shifts of going from Aquarius to, I mean, Pisces to Aquarius.
Hmm.
Aquarius is right, the whole love aspect, and we're moving into oneness from duality, from this dualistic society and mindset. And I think we're returning to where we originated, but I think we got hijacked, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Clearly, if we look around, we can kind of see that.
We're still being hijacked, but people have to wake up to, do you want to stay hijacked or do you want to live your truth and the reason your soul came here? It's really, it's such a, again, this is evolutionary work, and fascia has been, for me, part of my evolutionary uncovering and moving forward, you know.
Yeah. Well, okay. So where can people find you? I know I found you on Instagram, and I
That's my
know
main
I'm
platform.
okay. Instagram,
Magical
and
Hands
it's
Physical Therapy. Yeah, that's it
okay.
right now. And I'm making up a new website, but that's not going to be done for a while. So yeah, my
Okay.
main platform is that. That's where
Okay.
everything is for me. Yeah.
And I saw you have some really cool. I want to get that fascia gangster tank top. That's adorable. I love it.
Yeah. That's a fun thing.
It is.
Because
Yeah, it is
when you're
cute.
a fashion gangster, you're really a divine love gangster. So it's pretty
I
cool.
I just feel like I have a drop of knowledge. Uh, so I look forward to taking. Um, I want to come in person. I just saw there's something in Pennsylvania, and I'm in Kentucky. It really isn't that far.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
just need to.
no, it's
I
not.
need to look it up.
Yeah, a lot of people come from, those that are called, they get, that you show up when you're supposed to show up.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I just personally with my I don't know, my clients, I've just seen that, so they're, these especially um individuals who have the same stuck pain. There's no movement, of course. That could also be an unreadiness to unwind, literally unwind, right? But
yeah, it's hard for people to let go and let God, let go and let love.
yeah, it is. It really is. Well, I want everybody to make sure that you all check out Maria's work at Magical
Oh,
Hands
thank you.
Physical Therapy on Instagram. Be sure to check out her classes and courses, and they're open to everyone. So you don't have to be a body worker per se in order to um, gain the insight and wisdom that she has to share.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Maria, for joining
Thanks
me
for your
today.
time. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, you will. You definitely will. All
Thanks
right,
so
have a great
much.
day. You're
God
welcome.
bless. Bye bye.
Bye bye.